Woohoo!
Hello, 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 hello. What's up? It's Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means it is chaotic conversation time. And as usual, we got our panelists here, Mr. Terrence, Chris Knight, and Anzo. We're missing my ass Mama Bear, but hopefully she will come in later on in the stream. But before we get started, as always, how y'all doing, fellas?
Doing all right yourself?
I'm all right.
Doing good, doing good.
I mean, it was extremely hot in my neck of the woods, and boy, I'm
Oh,
telling you,
It's
here
getting there.
too, bro.
oh my lord.
Here
Uh,
too, man.
I'm complaining about not getting rain, but it's supposed to rain all night and all day tomorrow. So maybe that'll cool this scorched earth down in South Carolina.
Well, I know it ain't raining here tomorrow, but man, today I went outside and I had on like my Jordan tank top, bro, and I was still sweating like crazy.
Tank top, okay.
Yeah, nigga. Yeah, bro. My bad. Sorry, that's the ghetto with me.
I
My
mean, that's
bad.
listen. The one person who can't say it is right here, so
No,
I'm not going to say
No, I try my hardest not to say it too, you know.
it. Just say it. Just say it. As long as it doesn't come out of my mouth, we're cool. That isn't that how that would go?
It would, but it shouldn't come out of my mouth
Okay.
either.
All right, I got you.
And you know what's funny too? This is the second time I slipped up with that. I slipped up on Rob's stream the other night too, and no one really noticed.
Yeah, no one, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
But, anyway, before we get started with this the stream tonight, which is going to be top 5 movies from 1995. And I want to tell y'all, you don't have to be in love with these movies because I know that in some of these years, the movie selection is crazy. And it's slim pickings. Hey, Chris, I'll take the phone now. I thought I did it last night when I connect both of them together, but maybe I didn't.
Oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We'll worry about it some other time. Don't worry about it.
But
I'll teach you how to do it, Danny.
please do.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Y'all know when it comes to computer, I'm the slow one. So
We'll get there.
That's what happens.
19. Huh?
I was gonna say that's what happens when you grow up 100 years before computers existed.
You're right, bro. You're right. I can remember VCRs, man. On many my kids.
You remember VCRs?
I'm not saying y'all. I'm saying my children. My grandchildren don't.
Yeah,
I'm like, what is that, Cappy?
My grandchildren won't even know what a DVD player is.
Hey, I just bought a new truck. Probably about 6 months ago. Does not have a CD player in it.
Oh,
No, I know.
I was like, huh? Where's the CD player?
yeah.
You don't need one. Just put all your stuff in this, and then you can play the MP3s.
So you get a thumb drive? Yep. So push music on that. Put an HDMI slot. I say, man, that's right. It's ridiculous. But anyway, getting a little off topic. Tonight we're gonna do the 5 movies I guess we like. I'm not gonna say top 5 because after looking over the
list.
for me it's easy because I've been watching movies from since I was 10 years old, might be a little sooner than that. So a lot of these things I saw and it brought back memories. But 1988, which year I graduated high school, it was a little. I said, okay, I can see some people, but to me, it still was.
I think we should do 88. I'm fine with doing any year because then it makes it where you actually have to think, okay, of the trash, which trash was the best trash?
Yeah.
Oh man, when I looked at the 88 and I was talking to Terrence last night and I was like, yo, Terrence, Danny did 88, man. What the that so Terrence said, hold on, let me go and see this. And all I could hear was
I didn't even get the memo about 88, but I could have done it. I looked back at it.
I said 88 originally. What did you think about 88?
I saw most of the movies in that category, but unfortunately, I just didn't really have a whole lot of love for most of them.
Yeah. Well, I hope 95 will be better for you. Next week I'm gonna try. Maybe I'll jump to the 2000 here, but we're gonna keep going back and forth. So
That's
it ain't gonna be straight chronological. Maybe 95 this week, maybe 2000 next week. Man, I'm just gonna go back and forth and have fun with it.
Who can't go with Killer Clowns from Outer Space or They Live? I mean,
They Live.
I love They Live.
the Blob, the 80s version of the Blob was crazy.
That would have been.
You didn't like They Live, Bonzo?
I love They Live. That was the only one I had.
And how can you not be in love with the absolute best sci-fi movie of 1988, Mac and Me?
Oh yeah, I never even seen it.
It's gonna sound crazy, man, but I was a big Earth Girls Are Easy. I love
Yes,
Jeff Goldblum.
yes.
Jeff Goldblum was awesome, man. That was Jim Carrey's first movies. That was Jim Carrey, and I think Wayne Damon's first movies.
Yeah, Critters 2.
They were the aliens.
Oh yeah. Critters 2, I could probably have put
Critters
on.
Critters 2. My Stepmother is an Alien.
No.
Cocoon was 88.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that was not that it, it's whatever, but I mean, it was a good movie.
Yeah, not bad.
Well, I was 14 years old. Do you think I was watching Cocoon?
Well, shoot, I was maybe about 17. I watched it.
What was I in 88?
You watched Cocoon?
I sure did.
That would not have been.
They put them aliens in that water, and the water would heal the old people.
My mom used to watch Cocoon all the damn time. We had it recorded on a freaking VCR tape.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It used to be on. We had a movie channel, back then we had like one movie channel, and it used to show Cocoon all the time, and I would just skip.
And yeah, I remember the old cable, where you'd have to slide it. Had to be on channel 3 or something, and then but you still got your news and everything from 4, or whatever your news was. It was still on the clicker, and then you still had UHF. And
I remember when I used to, you used to get on the channel that they had the movies on, and it would be all snowy, and you're trying to adjust it to get a good picture.
Stop. Everybody had to take their turn to be on the antenna. It's like, stop right there.
Yeah.
It's enough that we can see. I think, ooh, look at that. That's a
titty.
All right. Well, anybody want to go first, or do I need to pick? Who would like to go down the rabbit's hole with this?
You know what? I'll go down the rabbit hole because mine are pretty easy and not much explanation is needed for them. So I'll go first. Number 5 will be Judge Dredd. Arnold's Sylvester Stallone one. I had to put it on the list. It's not one of my favorite movies, but for that year, yeah, it definitely had to be on the list. I didn't really feel like the movie was that great. Sylvester Stallone was okay in it. I hated the comic relief. What was his name?
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider. That's it. Yeah, Rob Schneider. Yeah, I hated him in that movie, but I put on the list.
Necessary. I did like where they went to the when he was banished, though, because that was a part of a whole series of the comic books. Is when he meets the cannibal brothers and stuff. That was actually taken directly from the comic books. And while there's a lot of parts of that movie that do not honor the comic books, that section of it was pretty close. Yeah. Gotcha. I think the new one though one's a little better. Not a little better, quite a bit better, because it really follows the idea of the whole premise of the original comic book. So
yeah, the second one is a lot better. I'll be honest with that. Number 4 would be 12 Monkeys. I actually really like this movie. Bruce Willis was great in it. I loved the premise of it, how he was coming back from the future all the time, and they thought he was crazy, and he had the vision of what was happening to him in the future and couldn't remember why, and it was because he was actually a little kid in the airport when that stuff happened. So I thought that movie was absolutely amazing. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Species. I've always been a horror movie fan, and that girl that played the Species was fire. She was hot, so Species is number 3. Number 2, I'm going with Virtuosity and Denzel Washington. You know what I mean? How can you go any wrong with that? Like, he rarely makes a bad movie. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think he actually made a bad movie. He may have made movies that didn't do so well at the box office, but all of them were pretty good. So Virtuosity is number 2. And number 1, and I'm pretty sure we will all have this as our number 1, Mortal Kombat. You don't have Mortal Kombat as your number 1, Chris?
No, I do not. And you guys will groan every last bit of my number 1. But there's a reason for it.
Danny, he's gonna have to go into the Phantom Zone.
No.
To
If
me,
you've never seen it, which most people haven't, you would just not understand.
okay, so we're gonna talk about a movie that most people haven't seen as your number one.
But it was a sci-fi movie in '95, and
Yeah.
depending on where you were with things, it was But I mean, okay, we'll see.
We'll see. My number one, like I said, is the Mortal Kombat Man. I mean, when I seen that, I was always a fan of the games. I was playing them at the arcades constantly. So when that movie was announced, it was hyped. I seen it on the first day it came out. Me and my boys were there, and it
has begun.
Exactly, and what, it's like one of those movies where you hear him actually say finish him in the movie. You're like, oh, like, yes, he said the finishing move. Now,
only thing I didn't like about Mortal Kombat was how they killed Sub-Zero. He's like one of my favorite characters, man. You didn't really get to see him do nothing. He froze one person, and then I was like, oh, how the hell Liu Kang kill him like that?
Well, Liu Kang should have killed him anyways. I mean, that's the way, you know what I mean? Because Liu Kang was the one to do it. But the fight was kind of lackluster. I'll definitely agree with that, But again, for the time that it was, like, it was awesome. You know what I mean? It was like, oh my gosh, Liu Kang, Sub-Zero, Scorpion. We got to see them all. Johnny Cage, Sonya, So I definitely put that as my number one. Because for me, like I said, that was actually, from looking at the list, that was the best movie from that year.
I had to step away for 1 minute. Please tell me your 4, 3, and 2.
Yep, 4 was 12 Monkeys, 3 was Species, and 2 was Virtuosity.
Yeah, I like Species. Okay.
Me too.
That's good list, bro.
Thank you.
I know it's slim pickings.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Knight.
I don't know if it's slim pickings because I got my top 5 and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 runners up too.
Really?
Dude. No, I actually, it's all subjective on how you look at things. But okay, so number 5, ready for the groans, Mortal Kombat.
You're 5?
Yeah, I liked the movie. I was excited for it. I really was. But as time is going on, I look back on it and I'm like, it just
Your
didn't.
soul is mine.
It didn't really capture what I think it should have been. And again, why kill off Sub-Zero? Why kill off, why kill off these people? There's no point in it because I don't know. I'm really hopeful for the new one. I really did like the movie. I liked the sequel. But what is it? Mortal Kombat. Legacy, is it? What's
Legacy?
The yeah,
about the one on the internet.
Yeah, dude.
Are you talking about the
Legacy? The one on the internet, but the one on TV was Conquest. It's the best out of all of them.
Yeah, Conquest. That's what man. I liked that one. And Legacy isn't bad either. But I mean, I don't know. Mortal Kombat, for what it was and what they were trying to do, I think was a decent adaptation. I was expecting so much more. But that's just me. Number 4, Dragon Ball Z, Wrath of the Dragon. That was 95. Set after the final battle with Kid Buu. Magician comes, I think, if I remember right, releases a monster on Earth. Goku and his friends go and try to find it. Huh?
That's right.
Yeah, Goku goes try to find his friends, or him and his friends go try to find I'm trying to remember here. It's Tapion, something like that. I don't know how to say his name. But they believe he's the only one that can defeat the monster, and then it ends up that basically Goku goes into Super Saiyan number 3, I think, and destroys the monster himself, and has some help with from Trunks, I believe. But I think that was a really excellent movie, and I know it that's
one of the first times you see Goku go Super Saiyan 3.
Yeah, so I mean that's back when I used to watch that stuff a lot, so I really do like that one. Number 3, I'm on it with Yonzo. Species. Government scientist retrieves space transmission with the blueprint to alien life, and he, as most stupid scientist in sci-fi movies, says, "Hey, look, I have this, so why don't I match it with our DNA and make something really scary?" That movie should make any man think about what they're really doing when they take a woman home from the club.
Yeah.
Dude.
Right.
She's
Because you remember what happened when he did, right?
dude, she is hot.
Yeah.
I still think to this day, I was like, oh damn, man. I don't
She's
know if
looking to mate, but she's trying to mate with somebody that's healthy.
trying to find the perfect
Yep.
human mate that will impregnate her so she can basically, I think, take over the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like an interesting version of Aliens from a different viewpoint, in a sense. It's not future, but it's similar to the idea that the alien takes over the body of a human to continue or whatnot. Number 2, Virtuosity. Hanzo, very good. Denzel Washington, Parker Barnes, I believe, is who he plays. He tests out a virtual reality program basically to teach cops how to catch criminals, and the program, I believe, is called SID 6.7, something like that. He has all these former
Russell Crowe's the bad guy.
yeah. He has all these former criminals programmed into him, but one of them just so happens, and I won't ruin the twist in it. One of them just so happens to have a past with Parker, and basically the program gets loose and havoc ensues, and it's really a freaking good movie. And the graphics still kind of hold up. It's just really cool. I still, to this day, it's like one of those movies that, if I forget about it and I see it in my list of movies that I do have, I'm going through, I'm like, oh, wait, we'll watch that one now. Okay, number 1, City of Lost Children, or The City of Lost Children. It's a French film, but it is a sci-fi film.
Never heard of it.
Well, okay, so I forget how I can't remember the VHS that I had for years. I think it was like Batman or something like that. And when I watched it, it had the trailer on it. Maybe it was Batman 2 or something. I can't remember, like I said. But it had the trailer on it. And just the way it looked, it was dark. It was very, I don't know. I can't put it right where what other movie would be like it. But it intrigued me. So I went and watched it. Basically, there's an old man who can't dream anymore, or really just can't grasp the concept of dreaming anymore. And because of that, he's dying. And this old man decides to steal children so he can extract their dreams to stay alive. And he kidnaps one child. And because of that, the father of that child and the best friend, this girl, go and basically try to take over, like defeat this old evil guy and his henchmen and stuff. But the concept behind it, and the camera work and the visualization of the movie itself is really freaking cool. It's kind of like steampunk meets Matrix meets I don't know, like almost like a Cool World or something. I don't know. It just, if you haven't seen it, give it a chance. The hard part about it is you do have to get through subtitles.
No, subtitles don't bother me.
Because it is a French film, and I don't understand a lick of French. So, but it intrigued me so much just from. In fact, here I guess we could play the trailer.
I live in Quebec, bro, and I don't know French, so don't worry about that.
Well, here I'll play the trailer real quick, and we'll let you guys see what you think. I mean, because I may be crazy. Well, I know I am, but that's besides the point. Oh, wait, hold on. We're gonna do that. Share audio. Okay, Danny, if you could share that screen. And it's rated R, so it's kind of horrific at times. It's here somewhere. There it is. All right. Let me know if you guys can hear it or not. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Terry Gilliam, I love him. Just the whole look of the film, it's weird, but it works for what it is. So he puts them in this machine to extract their dreams and stuff. And
it's Ron Perlman there.
Yeah, Hellboy.
mm-hmm.
I was literally about to say I'll pass until I see Ron Perlman, but then I'm seeing the rest, and I'm saying,
father. I think he's the father. But there's all this all this stuff. What's going on there? It's just weird, but maybe it's because I like things like Tim Burton and stuff.
It's Phantom Zone material here, buddy.
Yeah, for real. I'm like Danny. I'll pass.
You pass? No, you should watch it. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but just you should watch it. Trust me. Trust me.
I'm gonna have a lot of Ciroc when I watch that.
That's my number one, though, and there's a reason for it, guys. You just got to understand.
Okay.
Maybe I just have a more refined taste in movies than you. A more horrible taste in movies.
Keep that refinement to yourself.
I see how you are. I see it. I see how you are.
All right, Mr. Terrence, you are up next, sir.
All right. The movies I'm gonna name off, they're by no means my favorite, but I did get a kick out of them when I watched them when I was a kid. So, number 5 is Species. I saw that when I was a kid with my cousins. We used to watch a lot of sci-fi horror movie films, among other things, and I thought it was interesting. You had an alien, and it picked a child as a host, and then went up into this kind of cocoon thing, and then shortly thereafter, full-grown adults, played by Natasha Hendrich, who, when I saw her as a kid, I'm like, man, this lady is stunning. She looks really good. But then at the same time, she looked too perfect to me. So I figured, as a kid, that there was something wrong with that. Especially since I didn't really have any women around me that looked that perfect, so to speak. And then I noticed that, okay, this thing is mating, but it's very selective in terms of the partners. You can't have any underlining conditions, and it's very aggressive and forceful with its mating tactics. And if it feels threatened or any sort of problems, it would just kill the potential mate. You have the government involved trying to stop it, because this thing is, once it mates, then it gets pregnant and the baby comes out really fast. So you could really have a situation where these things could take over the planet and stuff like that. That sort of premise fascinated me. And then you have like Michael Madsen, Forrest Whitaker, Ben Kingsley in the movie. So a lot of talent and familiar faces. So just the overall premise of it, I really enjoyed that. Number 4, Congo. I remember before I went to see the movie, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw it in a drive-in theater, but I could be wrong about that. But I remember we went to Taco Bell before we saw the movie, and at the time they had like these watches, like Congo watches, and I remember I got one of those. I went to see the movie, and I didn't really know too much about the movie going in. It was just one of the movies that the
That's a
family
Michael
took me
Crichton
and
book, isn't it?
hmm?
It was based off a Michael Crichton book, wasn't it?
I'm not
um
certain.
I'm not certain about
I
that,
think
but
so.
yeah, like, just me and other kids, family members, we went to see it with the adults, and I saw that there was a talking gorilla. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I kind of latched on to that, and then you had this crazy character played by Tim Curry, and he was talking about the myth of the killer apes and stuff like that, and that they were white as well. And I didn't have like a whole lot of knowledge on animals, but I was like, what is a white gorilla supposed to be? And then I kind of was asking questions while watching the film, trying to learn about what I guess the different gorillas are supposed to be. So because I was so curious, I was invested in the journey, and then you get to the white gorillas, and they were just killing people, ripping off their limbs and stuff, and I was excited by that, as a kid. So I mean, I was one of those kids where whenever I would watch violent stuff, I was fascinated by it and not afraid like everyone else. Like I even had like the adults around me, they were shaking and jumping and all kinds of stuff, and I was just kind of sitting there in awe. So the
I
film
don't
fascinated me.
I don't remember Congo at all.
I do, and it was an okay movie.
I know I seen it. I just
And the
don't
book,
remember it.
like so many things of Michael Crichton, is much better. But
I mean, I can't speak on the novel or whatever. I haven't read it. I mean, I saw the movie when I was a kid. Since then, I've seen it again, and I had a sort of different perspective, being older and more knowledgeable about many things. But
mhm.
the song choices in the movie were really good. I remember, kind of getting more excited, and certain things got more intense as I heard the music. So, good experience.
You're laughing at him
Um,
getting excited, eh, Danny?
Did you get strawberry lotion excited, Terrence? About
No, Jesus.
I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, I do appreciate that, humans pay attention to my words, but they're not always supposed to be taken literally. But I do have different levels of excitement. They do vary based upon the situation.
Oh,
But yeah, so that's my number four. Number three is Judge Dredd. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Being that I was exposed to a lot of comic books, I wasn't like extremely familiar with them. I remember my cousins had those comic books, so I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing him. So I was a big fan of Stallone. My uncle showed me a lot of action movies with him in it, so it was like, of course, I was gonna watch that. And the look of the judges I thought was cool. The movie itself, I was fine with it. I mean, it had the action. I did find it pretty cool that you had a process that was skipped out when it came to law enforcement. In real life, you have all these bullshit kind of steps to get someone to, suffer consequences that they actually deserve. And these judges, they can just decide right then and there if they're going to sentence you, if they're going to kill you. And I thought that was cool that they had that level of power, and there seemed to be a certain type of training that came along with being a judge that you don't have with, I guess, your typical cops in real life.
I got a
So that
question. I got a question on that. You see, you thought that was fascinating. What kind of like appeal process, or how about it was the wrong person, and the judging is death or prison or whatever? I mean, there's a flaw to the judge Dredd system.
the well, when I was a kid, I wasn't thinking about all of that
No,
necessarily. I mean,
I'm
like
not
later
talking
on,
about
I
then. I'm talking about now.
like how I
As
view
a
it now.
yeah.
Well, to me, the system in itself, I believe is like, I probably, like, if I had to give it a percentage, I would say it's 95% good. Really, the problems that I saw in the comics, or even in the recent movie, or even in the original one with Stallone, is that you had stupid ass humans that have emotional problems, and they like to be corrupt, and it causes problems within a system that otherwise, without those fools, would be just fine. So in that film, this dude was betrayed by his brother and shit, and he had an attitude problem. So I was trying to figure out like why was that dude so mad at Dredd and why he framed him. So as a kid, I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know what my biggest issue with that movie was? That kick-ass robot, and it didn't do crap. You know what I mean? I like that robot, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they like finished it off really quick, right?
Well, he does.
It killed a couple of people, like crushed some
killed
people,
all the judges.
Yeah, and
All
like
the
I
main
mean,
judges.
when I was a kid, like I didn't really latch on to the robot. I was actually more fascinated with the judges themselves. To me, that was like something in the background that I didn't really care about. Like as long as it didn't really kill Stallone's character Dredd, then I just didn't really care about it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Number 2 is a remake of Village of the Damned.
Okay, yeah.
That was another one that I saw when I was a kid amongst the other sci-fi horror movie-esque kind of films with the cousins, and you know, being a remake of, I think the other one was like in 1960, and that had a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, so you know, I was familiar with it by the time I went into that one, and you know, you had these women that gave birth same time, same day, and these kids were growing at a rapid rate, and they had like white hair, and they were super intelligent for their age. That would really embarrass most adults just in terms of their intellectual properties alone. And they also had these telepathic, telekinetic sort of powers. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, I kind of wanted to have powers and stuff and have strength and all these different things. Um, and I was like, just kind of pulled in through that. And I was trying to figure out like what was scary about it. But then, you know, I noticed that the adults were freaking out and they're like, let's go talk to them. Why? Okay. And then they went from we're going to go talk to them to let's just kill them all. And I was just like, what's wrong with these people? Like, if they tell you to back the fuck off, you should listen, especially if they can tell you to kill your grandmother and everybody in your house. Like, what are
What
you
was this
thinking?
movie again, Terrence?
Village of the Damned, the remake of the original one. Yeah. So, to me, I didn't find it to be, I guess, I didn't find it to be really scary. It was more, I was intrigued by the kids. For me, the
That's where all the kids
carried
were like had white hair and stuff. All
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they sort of developed a sort of school slash home for themselves where they could continue to learn about themselves and what they could do in combination of the humans that surrounded them, which were clearly different, and they proved almost really every couple of hours to be a greater threat in their growing fear of something they don't understand, which is a disgusting human trait. But yeah, so I liked it. I was like, cool. You know, is there any more of these kinds of films? I felt like I could just watch those forever, and it was really just the kids and nothing else. I didn't care about the adults or what happened to them. I was just like, what's going on with these kids? Is it just only what they're presenting, or is it more to it? So I think the mystery component of the kids really compelled me to continue to watch and then to also want more in that area. And then my number 1 is Virtuosity.
Ooh,
Nice.
I think I've only seen it like twice. I saw it like when I was a kid, and then maybe a few years after that. So memory's not as good on it, but I do remember certain details like Denzel Washington's character being a cop, and then someone murdered his family, and then he decided to murder that person. And you know, again with the laws, it's like you're not supposed to technically kill people, even though some humans I do believe deserve to be killed. That's just my opinion.
I think he ends up killing the guy, but in the process, he ends up killing another person, but on accident. I think. I don't know. The dynamic of the two main characters and what they mean to each other and their history is really intense.
Right. I just remember that he killed someone in connection to the murder of his family that was actually described as being a psychopath. So that person definitely needed to get off, and that led him to be imprisoned. And then humans thought it was a good idea to develop a virtual reality kind of program, and they I think they referred to it as a virtual reality being in the Russell Crowe character. And then they also thought it was a brilliant idea to compose the character of a bunch of dangerous criminals. You know,
Yep.
also one in particular being connected to Denzel's character,
Yep.
and then he gets out and goes into the real world. Now, when I saw that as a kid, I was laughing at that because I was just like, "Oh, it's going to get really exciting now." And I was just like, "How are they going to stop this thing?" Because it's like when you have something that's made up of characteristics from all bad people, often as described through certain authors and scientists and therapists and things like that, they all seem to agree on most of the time the people that are considered mad or evil are some of the most intelligent people in history. It's just that a lot of times it's overlooked because I guess the average person, they don't want to give them any sort of positive accolades. It's just like they're evil, they messed up, and you dismiss them, and they don't want to do research. So I found myself really just wanting to see what Russell Crowe's character would do, and then how Denzel would go to stop him, because you had two options. It was either you're going to capture him or kill him. Logic suggests that you need to kill this thing because it's infinitely more dangerous than any real person. The idea that you would try to capture him is illogical in the event that he could probably escape, and the chances of you being able to recapture him is unlikely.
I remember
So-
that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember that now. I just remembered it. He's made of like this goo that can regenerate. So like you shoot his, I remember there's a scene where his hand gets shot off and he just like whoop and it comes back and it's like, holy crap, how do you do it?
Right.
And,
Yeah,
and it's really
yeah.
freaking weird because the way he the ending of it is like, like
I think in my mind
I
I might
remind me
have
of
that.
Lawnmower Man a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit, but Lawnmower Man is
More virtual than he was.
he was a virtual reality that the Lawnmower Man, who was mentally handicapped, when he was
like
attached to it, he was able to become a god, basically.
right. And I mean, I do have like a sort of image where I think Parker, his name is Denzel's character, like when he confronts this thing, and there was a moment of, I guess, when he exhibited like regeneration capabilities, at which point he was surprised by that. It then became like, okay, how am I going to get him if I can't really hurt him for long periods of time enough for me to capture him? So maybe the best thing to do is to take him out. So uh, I remember watching that, and I thought it was cool. And Denzel, at the time, it was like, because to me, I don't really consider Virtuosity a good movie, but to me, it's okay. But Denzel in the movie, as well as Russell Crowe, they are exceptional. Because from what I've seen from Denzel and Russell Crowe, they can be in sort of mediocre movies with interesting concepts that don't necessarily live up to their full potential, but they themselves are always great. Like you can expect them to be good in no matter what they're in, which also includes Virtuosity.
Terrence, no Mortal Kombat on your list?
No.
Really? You didn't like Mortal Kombat?
No, I did. I mean, I guess when we get to the honorable mentions, like it's there, but
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm here thinking everybody's putting Mortal Kombat as their number one. I guess I was wrong. So Danny, don't you let me down, man. Don't you let me down.
He's leaving it on you.
yeah, that's pretty much my list, y'all.
Awesome. I love it, dude.
and
Virtuosity is very, very good.
On this list, we are quite similar. But my number 5 was Species, like Terrence. I thought that was a good movie. I like I've always liked the alien concept. How she just go through. I think it was like on Species 2 or 3. The male part King.
Yeah.
he made it with her. Then I think he like gonna kill her or something. So she was kind of good or something, if I remember it correctly. But I've always liked that franchise. I can't think of the name of the actress, but it was always entertaining to me. My number 4, no one mentioned, is Waterworld. I
Oh
know
my
that
God.
What was it?
Waterworld. I didn't say that I love it, Anzo. I just said one of the
Well, but
movies.
I mean, really, of all of the,
You know that movie is considered to be one of the worst movies of all times?
no, not
Kevin
Yes,
Costner.
much worse.
yes, it is.
Costner is one of the best actors of all time.
That's right.
That's why I watch.
I agree with you 100%. But if you look, that movie was considered one of the worst movies of all time when it came out.
When it came out, people it got critically
It was so
bombed.
different. It was like half doggone pirate, half Aquaman. I mean, it really didn't have.
I'll tell you what I think of that movie because it is on my honorable mentions.
Wow.
I wasn't bored with it. It was one of the movies that it wasn't fantastic, nothing that I'd write home about, but I wasn't bored. I had a good time with it. I mean, it was kind of crazy. It was more like Pirates of the Caribbean mixed with Aquaman because he some kind of. They really didn't give a good description on that. And then I think he had gills behind his ear or some kind of crazy and web feet, web hands.
Yeah,
I really didn't get a good.
He was just a mutated human. I always thought.
So I mean, if you like sci-fi, and back then I was, like I said, only like 70 years old, so I was like, yeah, okay. And then there was a show called Man from Atlantis, and it reminded me a lot of that show. That was before your time, Anzo. That starred Patrick Duffy,
Yeah, probably.
aka Bobby Ewing.
Uh-huh.
He played Man from Atlantis. You need to check that out on YouTube. It's a good show. Way ahead of its time. My number 3 was Judge Dredd. I like Judge Dredd because I'm a Stone fan. But I must admit, I like Dredd better than Judge Dredd. Carl Urban never took his helmet off, and that sucker just kicked ass the entire movie. Now, I would love to have one of those. We call them peacemakers or lawmakers.
Peacemakers.
I would love to have one of them peacemakers that have all that artillery.
Peacemakers program
Just
to the judge of it.
That would be awesome to have that kind of firepower.
Yeah. It's like dirty,
full,
hairy weapon.
Full auto, armor piercing, damn rocket launch, whatever. Judge Dredd was cool. The guy that played his brother, I can't think his name in real life. He was cool. The fight scene between him and Judge Dredd at the end. And I can remember him saying, "I am the law," and all this kind of stuff. I am the law. Good old boy bad, Rob Schneider. So I like the whole cast. Like the girl Hershey. That's Superman's mama, Martha. Can't think of her name in real life. She plays the Man of Steel's Martha.
Yeah.
When she was young.
I can't remember her name either right now, but it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. Number 2 was Congo. And that kind of 2 movies in his number 2 position. Congo, like Terrence said, Talking Ape, and then went to that jungle and the aggressive white apes. I remember I used to kill them. So a couple of them in the doggone lava pit. So I was like, oh man, it's kind of violent. But another movie along with that I like too was Powder. With some kind of
Powder. Okay,
Powder, Powder.
Yeah, I know.
He had some kind of issue, not sure, but like electricity. Just, be drawn to him.
Yeah,
I think he had telekinesis where he could bend stuff, and he was
that's
albino and was outcast and just crazy. That kind of being, it was kind of supernatural and that kind of stuff. I just kind of was drawn to that. And Congo and Powder about same level in my mind for as what I like. And number one, of course, is Mortal Kombat.
Thank you. Thank you.
You better not let me down.
I am not alone.
When I saw Mortal Kombat on the list, I was like, "Oh, that's number one right there." Ain't
this is why Danny is my boy.
I love games. I love everything about it. Anybody that watch me know that my favorite player is Sub-Zero. If I ever play Sub-Zero, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna freeze your ass to death. Freeze and punch, freeze and punch, freeze and punch. So that's my game with that. I just like the Annihilation. Second one is hard to watch now, but the first Mortal Kombat, I was excited about it. I liked everything about it. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like is how they killed Sub-Zero and being my favorite character.
The worst part
very anxious
was that damn lizard thing, man. That was horrible CGI.
Second one, I think Raiden lost his powers and stuff. I'm like, really? How the hell it got a thunder? But I didn't care for the second one at all. I mean, I'll watch it to support the franchise, but I'd rather watch Waterworld than the second one. But yeah, number one will be Mortal Kombat. My number one. I will always watch Mortal Kombat. I'm hoping that this new reboot will be fantastic because now the special effects should be even better than they were in 1995. So and if it's anything like Scorpion's Revenge, then it is going to be a must-see TV or must-see movie, screen TV, or however you want to say it. So whenever it comes out of theater, I'm definitely going to be there opening night because I want to see that.
100%. And Mortal Kombat has to be rated R.
What? Oh, yeah. Another 1995 movie that I still have because of my kids. And actually, I think I've had this since 95 too. But
oh, my God.
Yeah, I got tons. Dude, I have tons of movies still on VHS, man. It's not even funny. I can't get rid of crap.
I am surprised Terrence didn't put that one on his list.
Mighty Morphin.
It's an honorable mention, though, isn't it, Terrence?
I'll get to mine.
Yeah, I know.
All right, are we taking turns on honorable mentions, or how are we doing that?
Yeah, you can just go around. I don't have any honorable mentions, but whatever y'all want to throw some up. That's fine.
I will say this. I was just looking because I'm like, okay, honorable mentions. Damn, I forgot. And then I noticed a movie on there that should have definitely be in one of my top 5. So I would definitely probably take out Judge Dredd as my number 5. This wouldn't be my number 5. We'll switch it up, and I'm not going to bother to do that. But GoldenEye is definitely in my top 5. And that's there. So I'll just say that's my honorable mention. GoldenEye was the first movie that Pierce Brosnan played James Bond. And
that's not sci-fi.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So why is it in my sci-fi list?
I don't know. Because I had to go through some of them. I was like, that's not really sci-fi.
Yeah, you're right. But it's in my sci-fi list, though.
People, I don't know.
Sci-fi in there, I guess.
It does have. Okay, I will give it this. It does have to do with a satellite that beams, large.
Think about it. Congo's not sci-fi either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm guessing
that's about like almost mythical apes.
Yeah, but if we're talking technical,
the description on the internet said that the part that makes it sci-fi is that you have killer intelligent gorillas.
Yeah,
can't exist in real life.
So what would it be for GoldenEye then? The satellite?
Like I said, it does have the satellite. It is something that is theoretical. It's been tried before, and because of that, I guess you could put that in sci-fi.
Well, I mean, I didn't put it there. It's on the list, right?
What I mean is that I guess I would allow it because of the fact that it has space. It has the satellite. The satellite is completely nothing we have today, so that would put it in a. I just would. I think that Bond is more rooted in real world, so I never think of it as sci-fi. But I mean, Moonraker, though, I guess you would have to put in sci-fi because, well, it's got
in
space
space and
all
everything,
that.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but no, yeah, you're good. No, because the more I think about it, I guess it falls under that. So, and like you said, you didn't put it there. It's so
It was on
somebody
the
who gets
list.
paid a lot more than us probably put it there. So,
I mean, I'll go back later and check like the description of it
No.
and see where it actually lands. If it's maybe an action sci-fi or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, for me, I do have it there because, like I said, that was the first Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, and man, when he was announced, like when they
that's
stopped,
still one of the best Bond movies ever.
yeah,
and one of the best Bond songs ever.
you're absolutely right. Because he was born to play Bond. Like when he used to do that show Remington Steele, everybody used to say he should play Bond. He should play Bond. And then they got Timothy Dalton first.
Well, he was supposed to take over then after Roger Moore, but this is kind of the crappy thing about it. They had canceled Remington Steele, and literally right before he signed the contract to become Bond, they came back and said, "Oh no, you can't do that." And he's like, "Well, we finished." He says, "Nope, you got one more season we're going to do anyways." And they had to do a fifth season. That fifth season was horrible.
Yeah, I know.
And
I know.
yeah, and so
then they got Timothy Dalton to play Bond.
And you know, if you think about it, it's kind of funny because him and Dalton both, Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, both have had during the time of Bond, they had some serious things happen in their life. That Timothy Dalton's wife, I think, either died of cancer or was dying of cancer. That's why he left. And then I can't remember what happened to Pierce Brosnan's daughter, but his daughter died, I think, near the end of his tenure as Bond. And that's why that was one of the reasons why he left. They were trying to negotiate with him, but then Barbara Broccoli and the studios were all talking about, well, we need to take Bond in a different direction because it's getting kind of campy now. And so it was all mutually decided that they just go their separate ways.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that is the actor that plays the chief on Doom Patrol. And
Timothy Dalton, yeah.
Yeah, so he's perfect as that character. I liked him as Bond, but he really fits as the chief, to a T.
Yeah, he was okay as Bond. He, like, a lot of people gave him slack that he was trash, but if I'm not mistaken, he did 2 movies, right?
Who?
Timothy Dalton? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I thought he was great. He honestly, his movies were almost a test, I think, for how they did Daniel Craig, because he was very serious the way he played it. There was a little of that comedic or that Bond charm type stuff in it, but it wasn't nearly what Moore was. So coming off of Moore got really campy near the end, and it was all about sex and all that. And when he took it way back down to a rooted. You felt like he was a secret agent, but it still had all the gadgets and stuff. But they really stripped it down even more. But I think that Timothy Dalton was probably the second most serious.
I think Dalton came after Connery, because Moore was before Sean Connery, wasn't it?
No, Sean Connery.
It was Connery, Bruce Lansby, Connery, Moore, Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and
Daniel Craig.
And if you want to go back even farther, the guy that played on the TV show in the 50s or early 60s, before they actually made a movie, they did Casino Royale as a TV pilot for a mystery show. And there's a guy that played Bond in that, since that was a Bond story. And then Peter Sellers played it in
the movie.
I think it was Casino Royale too.
No, it was for His Majesty's Mistress.
No. Peter Sellers played him in a spoof.
But the first Bond was For Your Majesties or something like that.
No, first Bond was Dr. No.
No.
Then
there was one before that.
No. Dr. No was the first one.
Okay.
Then
I'm looking it up.
For the humans listening, my favorite Bond is Daniel Craig.
Thank you. Well, wait. I'm gonna say that he's even with me with Sean Connery because I just can't go past the original. But
they kind of flip flop.
Daniel
Sean
Craig,
Connery and Roger Moore flip flop. I'm looking at it now.
Now,
No,
I mean,
Sean Connery
I do.
Sean Connery only came back for Never Say Never, and that was not an official Bond film. It was the guy who owned the rights to Blofeld, who took his story for Thunder, or for not Thunder, for Thunderball. He reworked it, changed it, Never Say Never, and so Sean Connery came back, but that was not in the official Bond group of films. MGM, that was
what was
still,
his name in the movie?
What? It's James Bond, but it was not. It's not accepted by MGM, who owns the rights to James
It's
Bond.
accepted by me. If his name is James Bond, that's a James Bond movie.
Which movie are you talking about?
Never Say Never.
I'm just saying, 1962 to 67, Sean Connery played.
And Bruce
Land. 71 he played, and then in 1983.
Yeah, but 1983 was not a part of the same group because the movies that Sean Connery was in the 60s were the same film company, MGM, who did it with Roger Moore. The one he did in Never Say Never was Ion Films, if I remember right. And it was a separate producer, separate everything. And the guy basically the guy who owned the rights to Blofeld took the movie he worked on that he had helped write, which was Thunderball, and took it, renamed it, and had him come back and play it again. And it was a severely lacking version of Thunderball.
I mean, I do like all the other actors that play Bond, but Daniel Craig is part of my favorite Bond movie, which is 007 Skyfall.
Yeah, Skyfall's freaking awesome.
Before that, I had like Bond films and I'm like, okay, this is good and I like it, but none of them really tipped it over the edge for me. Like 007 GoldenEye came close, but it just still didn't really have the oomph that I wanted. But Skyfall not only did that, but it was like times 30. So
Pierce Brosnan is my favorite Bond. Yeah, he's still my favorite Bond. But you're right. Dr. No is the first Bond.
I'll be right. I'm going to jump on my phone here in a minute. I got to go get my kid, but I'm going to jump off of here and get on my phone, okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, right. Danny, you
right
said
here.
You didn't have any honorable mentions? or?
No, I'm looking at this list. And Dr. No came out in 62.
First
From
Bond,
Rush Love in 63.
Mm-hmm.
Goldfinger in 64. Thunderball in 65.
And then the fifth one was Majesty's Secret Service.
No, you only live twice.
You only live twice.
You only live twice was in 67.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 69 was on her Majesty's Secret Service.
And that was
71
the one
was All Forever.
Yep.
73 was Live and Let Die. 74 was The Man with the Golden Gun. And 77, The Spy Who Loved Me. 79 was Moonraker. 81 is For Your Eyes Only. 83 is Octopussy and Never Say Never Again. 85 is If You Two Kill.
Yep.
87 is The Living Daylights.
Mm-hmm.
89 is License to Kill.
Yep. And then
95 is GoldenEye. 97 is Tomorrow Never Dies. 99 is The World Is Not Enough. 2002 is Die Another Day. 2006 is Casino Royale. 2008 is Quantum Solace. 2012 is Skyfall. 2015 is Spectre. And 2020 is No Time to Die.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you buy the grouping of the movies that MGM puts out, you will not get Never Say Never Again. Because it is completely different.
I'm not doubting that particular point, Chris.
But I like it. I put it in there. I'm just saying, they'll tell you it doesn't exist.
I mean, I'm excited for Daniel Craig's last entry. I hope it's better than Pierce Brosnan, because Pierce Brosnan's last movie was awful. I was so upset that he went out with that kind of film, especially the other three that I thought were so good, especially the first one, GoldenEye.
You're talking about Die Another Day? You didn't like Die Another Day?
No, I thought it was awful. But in terms of Daniel Craig, because he did Casino Royale, and Skyfall. If his last one is bad, because those two are so great to me, I might give him a slight pass in the way that I did not Pierce Brosnan, but it would just depend.
I hated Casino Royale.
I thought
Is that the
I
one
think,
where he was playing the cards against that guy and the guy gave him poison?
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then they were hitting his, put him in the chair, and they took the swing and were licking him in his nutsack and everything. I'm like, nah, that movie was trash. That to me didn't really feel like a Bond movie, man. So I wasn't a big
That
fan of that.
when I saw that one, I was like, okay, now because I remember before humans weren't sure if he could play him,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I saw Casino Royale, I'm like, okay, this will definitely budge some people, which it did. But I was like, okay, now you need to make one that is better than all the other ones. How do you do that? Because then he came out with Quantum of Solace, which I thought was okay. And then he
Mm-hmm.
did Skyfall, and I was like, this is it. Then it made more than $1 billion. I was like, this is the one. I already knew when I watched it and watched the intro. I'm like, this is the one to do. If it does not do it for whatever reason with most people, which most people love that, and they really embrace them, I feel with that movie even more than Casino Royale. I'm like, if they don't embrace them with this one, I'm gonna consider them biased because they like a certain actor more, which would not be fair.
Well, which was a movie where they were like in Somalia and the guy had the bomb in his throat, sewn in his throat.
You talking about from Daniel Craig?
Yeah,
Let me think, because I know that the
he was like a
Royale was
drug
a
lord or
guard.
something.
I think that might have been Solace, because I remember
Yeah.
the Skyfall was a guy that was with the agency, and he was a great villain. I really like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
The
Skyfall was the best Daniel Craig movie. I still think my favorite Bond movie is GoldenEye, though.
that's fine. Like I don't when it comes to Bond, like I really don't. Uh, it doesn't matter to me which movie or which actor, because I feel like all of them, with maybe the exception of one or two, I feel are really bad. One of which, like I mentioned, is from Pierce Brosnan. But other than that, I'm like, you mention a Bond movie or a Bond actor, I'm completely accepting of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, uh, did you want me to say my honorable
Yeah,
mentions
go
or?
ahead and say your honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's see. I had Outbreak on the list. Wait,
Outbreak was good.
wait, hang on one second, guys.
Mhm. Well, I have
This
two more honorable mentions then.
Go
So,
ahead and go with them.
yeah, Johnny Mnemonic. I'll put that on there. Thought it was okay. It wasn't a great
So
movie for me.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, with Keanu Reeves. Yeah, it was, you know what I mean? But it could watch. It's one of those movies, if you're bored and you want something to watch, you could put on Johnny Mnemonic and Screamers. I was looking at the name and I'm like, why do I remember this movie? So I didn't really put it on
In
the
the ground, wasn't it?
yeah, with RoboCop, Peter Weller. So I was like, you know what?
Alaska somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
I
I
remember.
remember this movie, and it comes back to me piece and piece, but I remembered really liking it because at the time I was a big fan of Peter Weller. So Screamers was
What movie?
definitely Screamers.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's on my honorable mentions.
yeah. I just said that too.
You got any others?
No, I just gave my three, which was GoldenEye, Johnny Mnemonic, and Screamers.
So Johnny Mnemonic, some I guess at one time I liked it. It just I don't know. I have 5 that I had on my list, and I'm trying to remember them all because I don't have my list here now. Congo is one of them. Screamers. Trying to remember here. Well, I know the one I did want to talk about was Waterworld. I still like Waterworld to this day. The problem with Waterworld, though, one is length.
Yeah,
But
wow.
when I watched it, I was like, this is Mad Max. I'm a big Mad Max fan. And it is Mad Max on water. And
Pretty much.
it's lacking some of the charm of Mad Max. and the complete story of Mad Max. It's like when we get to the end of Waterworld, it's just like, okay, I guess we got here. It's like, okay, how did we really get here? What was the point? Everything about Mad Max, when they do what they do in it, it gets you to the end. The biggest problem with the Mad Max series is that after the second one, depending on where you're from, it's the Road Warrior or Mad Max 2 or Mad Max 2, the Road Warrior. The third one, Beyond Thunderdome, is basically it starts Max out at the same place as he was at the beginning of the second one, and it's just all like a rehash. It's just a different story told. And then Fury Road I really liked, but it was a similar idea. But Waterworld, though, I think was plagued by the problems of how long it was in production hell. And Kevin Costner kind of just took the reins, and I'm not sure if he really fully understood what he was taking over when he did it. But I still don't think it was ever as bad as people thought it was. And it's visually a very good movie.
Man.
All right.
You ready with George Terrence?
Yeah.
No. I'm just trying to
one
remember
of them-
what my other two were.
Oh wait, go ahead then. Yeah, you got your other two.
Well, he don't remember.
I can't remember right offhand. So
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, one would be Outbreak. Saw that when I was a kid. The airborne virus. We have something similar going on in real life that is wrecking humans, and they're not going to fix. But oh well, that's the human problem. Yeah, it came out and it was in a small town, and you had a group of people trying to deal with it, trying to contain it before it spread to the rest of the world. And the White House, the president, they were kind of in panic mode, which I don't know. Even when I was a kid, I thought that was bad qualities for a leader to have, to panic. I don't think that that's ever acceptable for any reason, because they wanted to resort to extreme measures to deal with it, which is to just kind of blow it up and you just kind of go home after that. But I did find the premise to be entertaining. I enjoyed it, trying to figure out what the humans were going to do in that movie. And then my second one is Mortal Kombat. I saw that when I was a kid. I had played the games. I owned a great deal of them. So did almost everybody that I know, at least the males anyway. And I grew up watching a lot of martial arts movies, like more than most people. So when I saw Mortal Kombat, I was able to recognize some of the characters as being from the game. But for me, it just felt like a run-of-the-mill martial arts movie, especially since I had seen so many. And Mortal Kombat is supposed to stick out, and it did not do that. They just sort of came up with a generic martial arts story, which, for all intents and purposes, I mean, it was completely taken from Enter the Dragon. So Bruce Lee was the one that did that stuff anyway, and it was nowhere near as good. But when I watched it, I was entertained by it, especially being a fan of the games. But I still felt like it should have been so much more. It should not be something that falls through the cracks where we talk about how cool it is, but a lot of people have not seen it, and a lot of people don't remember it outright because it doesn't stand out.
How old were you when you seen Mortal Kombat, Terrence?
I don't know, maybe 13, 14, maybe something like that. So really, really young. I had at that point, I had seen so many films. So
right, and by the time you've seen it, technology was a lot different than it was when it actually came out, right? Because when it first came out, bro, it was the coolest thing ever, bro. It was the fucking coolest thing ever.
I cannot agree that it was the coolest thing ever. And the things that I'm saying have nothing to do with the technology. I don't mention necessarily technology when it comes to movies, especially in a certain time period. I care about story.
Right, but when you seen it, we had so much other things that at that time. When I seen it, we didn't. You know what I mean? I seen it when it came out the first day in 1995. So at that time, as I said, it was the coolest thing out Trust me.
Well, I mean,
Everybody was talking
I
about
mean,
Mortal Kombat.
but I mean, to
I heard
me,
Aldo was dressed up like Scorpion when he went to see it.
I mean, like I said, it has its coolness because it's Mortal Kombat. But I was not necessarily like, okay, it has to be as good as this movie or that movie. I just wanted them to put a little bit more effort into it. I felt like they really capitalized off the name. They didn't put a whole lot into it. It should have been better, regardless of the time period. But I do have an appreciation for it. I'm not mad at it, but there's a reason why I didn't have it on my main list because I could have put it there, but that would have been bias, and I don't do bias. I like to do fair. Um, and then my other one was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the same reason that I put Mortal Kombat in the honorable mentions. I don't do bias. Like I grew up watching Power Rangers. I had all the toys. I had the Green Ranger, the White Ranger, and the original Red Ranger's costume. I guess technically the original Red Ranger was in Japan first, but just in the sense of the American interpretation. The movie, I was like, of course I got to see the movie. I was watching the show. The movie in itself is not canon to the series because you got the whole Ivan Ooze and they went to some planet called Phaedos to get their ninjetti powers, but in the show they got it through a character named Ninjor. So I didn't know those differences. It was entertaining, but I've seen other movies that I like better, even though I'm a Power Ranger fan because I watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. There was Power Rangers Zeo, Turbo, and then I sort of fell off in Power Rangers in Space. And I wouldn't jump back on it until many years later, actually, when what was it? They had Power Rangers Wild Force, and they had the episode where the 10 Red Rangers came together. And I saw older characters, and I was like, oh, it's connected because I thought it was just random. So that led me to go back to the beginning and work my way up to 17 seasons, and then I stopped at like halfway through Power Rangers RPM, which was like season 17 or something like that. But again, it's in my honorable mention because as much as I like it and I think it's cool, there are things that I feel are better in terms of storytelling and quality.
Gotcha. And no honorable mentions for you, Danny?
Nah, bro. Slim pickings on this year, but
yeah, that was your year you picked. Remember that?
I picked 88, and you objected, so I gave another year. So
yeah, I can't remember what my other two were. I'm trying to think. Trying to go through the list that I remember seeing.
I mean, I try to be when you come up with these topics, Danny. Like usually when you do like a top 5 or a top 10, I have to think about, okay, well, there are lots of movies that I like, but in terms of the top 5 and ones that I really feel like I wouldn't ever want to erase from existence, that's a very small list in every single genre there is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll change it from top 5 to just 5 movies instead of, because you don't have to be in love with this crap. I'm not saying be in love with it, but just 5 movies that you see in that particular year in the sci-fi genre that you looked at and thought was okay and ain't gonna be spectacular.
No, the top 5 is fine, to be honest with you, because we're not saying the top 5 movies ever. We're just saying the top 5 movies of that year. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Just goddamn the years, bro. Jesus. I'm surprised.
Well, I like this premise though. I like doing this because it makes it difficult because you got to look at stuff. And like I said before, you do have to kind of sift through the crap to get to stuff. You're like, okay, of these,
then it brings back good memories too.
Yeah, right. And it's like what was the best, and then the cool thing is Anza, like you said, in '95, I had just graduated. Mortal Kombat came out, so of course that was the summer of '95. After I graduated, I'm sitting there going like, hell yeah, I'm going to go see this movie because I've been putting quarters in this damn machine for the past 2 years. And I went to go see it. I thought, yes, this is awesome. Looking back, though, from my perspective now, I'm going to say it's just not the best. It wasn't the best of that year. Now, I did put it at number 5 because I still have very fond memories of it, and I still like the movie. But I think it's a perspective of what were your perspective then if you were alive, because I would love it if you did like a 67 or some weird year that we really have to think about it. but I think you get to sift through it and say, okay, of this body of work from that year, what's best? And
I just like to be fair. Even if I were some kind of casting director and say I'm like, okay, I have intentions on, say, Danny comes in, I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be in this role. But if Bobby Totem comes in and he's, great in the acting and all this stuff, and I believe that he's better than Danny, it wouldn't be right for me just to pick Danny because he's my friend. So that's what kind of person I am. I will pick what I feel deserves to be mentioned upon. It has nothing to do with favoritism or my experience with it. It doesn't grant it a certain position.
That's messed up, bro. So wait, hold on. If they gave you some money to make a movie, right? And you had me and you had Denzel Washington, right? And I needed to do this role, you know what I mean? And I'm like, bro, this will give me my breakout role. You're hooking the brother up. You would take Denzel over me, bro.
Well, yeah, because Denzel Washington is one of the best actors of all time. But
you're right, he is. But you wouldn't hook up your brother, man.
No. See, there are differences in terms of the position. Like for the main character, especially for a selling point, he would have to be in the forefront. Now that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that I can't. Like I wouldn't. That doesn't mean I'm not going to use you. Like I could put you as another character. But
no. I want the starting role, bro. You can't put me as another character. I'm like, yo, you got the job to pick whoever you want. Studio is saying, don't worry about it. You put whoever you want in the role, and hook up your brother. But you'd rather go to Denzel Washington, who don't give a shit about you.
It's not. No. See, but that's why I did the scenario of Danny being there. It could easily be you or Chris or anyone else. But it's like, it's not so much that I went to them, but out of the list, I'm like, yeah, I'm going with my boy. But if Denzel Washington randomly came in on a Tuesday and he blew away his fucking screen test, I'm like, I would be doing a disservice for those that are going to watch it if I pick you over him. Like, that's just not right.
So you'd rather do a disservice to the other people than your boy.
Hey, Terrence.
No, because Terrence. I'll tell you this. When it comes to movies, you'd be surprised at how a small amount of screen time can do wonders for you if you really are that good. Chris Hemsworth is an example. He was in Star Trek for 5 seconds, and then Kevin Feige was like, "That's Thor."
Yeah, but I ain't looking for no little 5-minute movie time, bro. I'm going for the starring role. I'm like,
you're okay, but at the same time, though, in terms of the casting process, it could be that you are a better fit for a different character, which in turn could lead to you shining, which could get you to the roles that you want. So you have to think about this from a strategic standpoint.
What if I'm a perfect fit for the leading role, but Denzel Washington is there?
Okay, no. See, it's not. Again, this is not so much.
We gotta wrap this up. I got another string, bro. You gotta wrap this up.
No, I got you. But no, Anzo. It's not so much that if he's there, he has to prove himself. And if I think that he blew you out of the water, Denzel is getting that role.
Terrence, I think we need to talk about your movie, man, because Anzo there, man, he's a drama queen. It's going to cause a lot of backstage drama, man.
But no, you would definitely be in the movie. I would take care of you. It's not like I'm going to be like, well, Denzel's here. Get your ass out in the cold, Anzo. No, I'm going to make sure you're fine.
Well, before we say this, I'll say you put me in a 5-minute role, but you give me Denzel Washington money, and I may be okay with that.
If Denzel is getting $20 million, then I'm gonna give you like $2 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be fair, you know.
Yeah, then that's not happening.
Sounds like I think he's turning down the role.
I mean, shit, for your first role, like for 5 minutes, you getting $2 million. I feel like a bunch of actors would want to burn down your house over that shit. That'd be unprecedented.
Yeah.
I feel you.
All right, fellas, this was a good conversation. I see that y'all don't like the. I'm gonna research another year, a good year. I'm gonna go in the 2000s. I'm not sure which one it's gonna be, but it'll be somewhere between 2000 and 2010.
Yeah, but Don't look at the list either. You just pick the year, and then we'll go off of that, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
So next week will be some year between 2000 and 2010 is what I'm going to pick.
Make it 2003. Let's just go 2003. Call it out right now without looking.
Okay. Let's go 2006.
Boom. Okay. Deal.
2006.
2006. Okay.
Chris, did
All
you
right.
get me a drink?
Talk to my kid, man.
Oh, I'll definitely talk to your kid. I mean that in a nice way.
Okay.
All right. Okay, fellas. This is again another successful Khaotic Conversation. We'll be back same bat time, same bat channel next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please join us again.
And tune in tomorrow night.
Yep. I'm sorry. Tune in tomorrow night. Anzo will be hosting the Chaos List. I'm not sure what the topic's going to be, but him, I, and Chris will be on there. I'm not sure if Chris is going to invite some guests, but whoever's on there, there's certain questions that you need to do about five questions.
We'll do 3 now.
Okay, 3 questions, range from any kind of topic. Now that StreamYard has bumped up to 10 people on there, and then we might can invite some more people. But catch you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anzo will be hosting that. It's the Chaos List, and we will catch you later. Thanks.
Yes.